Guys, we have your What We Learned segment today from a rewatch of Browns Bengals week 1 that we're going to go through with you, talk about every element of the rewatch that mattered, how we think the outcome of the game, the performances in the game dictate the rest of the season, and have some banter around conversations that happened in Berea on Monday. And then at the end of that segment, we will have the comprehensive week 1 all 22 analysis notes that I provide for the folks who are with us at Browns Film Breakdown as a subscriber. So we'll open with what we learned. We'll get to the subscriber stuff at the end. I hope you come over and join us at Browns Film Breakdown. It's a great opportunity to do so. And at minimum, by joining Browns Film Breakdown, you do get rid of any advertisements, going completely ad-free on your podcast every single day, which is a nice perk on top of the newsletter, opening drives, and film room unique content that you get every day. So join us at Browns Film Breakdown as we launch into this season with a Browns team that's clearly eager to compete, and we think there's plenty to feel good about, and we're going to continue to talk about that today. On the website, also some good content that you can find. We can talk about the motion percentage going up in the offense, which is a really intriguing part of things, and then some film from the rookies that we are also going to talk about in this show, all of which you can find that all 22 film on the website. Again, come over and join us. See what you think about the free side. Get 7 days for free. And I think you will very much appreciate what we have to offer for you to enhance your Browns fandom. So again, come join us. Let's get started on today's Browns Film Breakdown podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome into today. We have a Tuesday, September 9th edition. Jake and Brad are here. Brad, we welcome you in for the evening. I know things are chaotic for you toward the end of the workday and then kind of figuring out what happened around today. I know you got some time to rewatch the game and get a feel for some takeaways. We have some takeaways to talk about with you guys. I'm looking forward to doing that because, again, we had hit on this, Brad, at the end of the rewatch, and then our post-game show is like, I understand this is one to add to the journal of like what in the Dwayne Rudd did I just watch type stuff here. It's in that category. It's in that chapter of the book that is written and will continue to be written. But there's also a difference between what we saw performance-wise here versus what we saw last year, which was a situation where the Cowboys come in and boat race you and take the life out of a season before it even gets going. This is a different thing. This is a competitive team. And I don't know, you and I are smart enough to know what we watch the Bills and Ravens do on Sunday Night Football. It's a different tier of football right now. But what we do know is that any given Sunday is a thing for a reason. And the Browns have played the Ravens and really the AFC North competitively all the time. And there's still plenty of reasons to think in the midst of a seriously challenging start, they can still get some wins here. And that's the thing we're focusing on, because I think dwelling on a kick that gets missed and two fluky ball hitting the hands, bouncing right to somebody's lap is just something that we can't change and we can only moan and groan about for so long. So we move on and we analyze and push forward. And I'm excited to do that, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. Monday after the first loss of the first game, you're searching for some answers. Feel better after watching it again. Feel like there's some things to really, like you said, it's different from last year. There's some things here,
right,
to feel good about. And that game last night was certainly another level, but at the same time, you have to remember that, in the AFC North, the Browns, I think, have split with the Ravens like every year for the past, 4 or 5 years, something like that, 3, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've done a good job of splitting with most of the division for a while under Kevin.
Yeah.
A couple big things, Brad, that I want to throw at you and have you respond to. Then we'll talk about Kevin is like, and some people won't agree with this, and that's fine. But as you try to step back and analyze things from the last 24 hours, how disturbing that loss was, why does this keep happening over and over again over the years? You do have to think about, the last 5 years under Kevin, and really honestly, since they took Mayfield in 2018, that year wasn't great, but it had some nice moments. 19 was disappointing. But like, if you look at a prolonged stretch of not playing anemic football, last year, 3-14 was the first year in a while where it's been like that. This has been one of the better stretches across 6-7 years of Browns football. And it's not where you want to be. It's not the standard you hope to set. It's not the place anybody dreamed it could go when the things were at their peak, right? Like, would you maybe call the absolute peak of this could go anywhere? Maybe you could argue it is after the Pittsburgh wild card win with Kevin's first year, and then maybe you could even argue it was after that Chiefs loss where you were right on the cusp of winning it. And you're like, all right, next year they're going to be back. I think there's a couple little variable spots you could look at to say this was like the apex of this is like, where is this going to go? You could argue the start of the 19 season when they had the Odell Beckham energy flowing and you thought they could be a super on the cover of Sports Illustrated. But I would really genuinely say when you felt like, this roster's in a good place, Miles in his prime, you got something here with Mayfield the back half 2020. So I think that like you obviously as fans, I know I as an analyst thought at the end of the 20 season, like this could go anywhere.
Yep.
And it changed and we don't need to go down that pathway again. But like, this is also the most competent stretch of consistency in important positions. And again, I understand that there's an opinion of some people that that's maybe not the best thing for some folks. I kind of view this, Brad, as what I think is going on is Kevin is Paul Brown, Mike Brown's huge Marvin Lewis. Where like the Bengals had some real moments with Marvin Lewis. They had some good teams. They had some playoff entries, could never really get further than a playoff game. I don't even know if they won a playoff game in those stretches of Marvin Lewis, but like it feels like the Browns have looked around the division, the formula for success among consistency and front office and coaching staff. And yeah, these guys have some warts, but we feel like they bring a baseline of competency to this that we haven't been able to establish for a while. And we're going to run this until the wheels fall off. And that's why I kind of view this as this is the Marvin Lewis hire for the Browns. And maybe ultimately they go some other direction someday, but they're going to give them a long runway to see if this is something feasible long term. So I guess what I'm getting at is like the perspective of where this is versus maybe you and I doing this pod from 2010 to 2017. And we're like, what's going on? That we had that.
Yeah.
Then you would have had that one little flash of potential success when they go 7-9. You know what I'm saying? So like there's a little bit of hope and a little bit of glimmer there. But for the most part, I think you smell what I'm stepping in here, which is like, it's not fun, but also you step back and analyze it. They're in a spot with this roster, as we saw in week 1, that can compete. But then when you step back and say, I watched Sunday Night Football with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson being, like Power Rangers out there, Transformers out there, doing as good as you feel, as otherworldly as you watch Myles Garrett do his thing. Imagine having a guy who can do that Myles Garrett thing at that position. And then when you do that, when you step back and analyze it, you understand why you swung on Deshaun Watson, thinking that you would be able to have a guy who can step up and play toe-to-toe with those guys. So I just think that they're trying to dig out of the hole. This is a flawed, it's not flawed, it's just an unfortunate situation. They're trying to give themselves some outs, but like when you step back, I'm doing my own like mental therapy here and say, hey, they've had some real moments of quality relevancy. If you exclude last year, which is hard, I understand that. But if you exclude last year, their bad years were not that bad. They've kind of been hovering in contention. I think you can get to a spot where you see that where they're at right now is a spot that can still be something that's turned around relatively decently in this singular season, and if they get the right quarterback over the next 2 years. So that's kind of where I've pushed myself to here about this, understanding that, like, hey, they got some real rookie contributors here. They're playing Ronnie Hickman a ton, and he's a UDFA, and they're playing some guys, like they got some young bodies, in here. The offensive line you and I will talk about is not in that fold, but like they've got some pieces here. So I think it's going to be a very fun is a dangerous word, but it's going to be at least moderately interesting to see where they take the aging core and how they try to rebuild this on the fly with a couple first round picks and try to swing for a quarterback. Because if you can figure out the quarterback in the next 2 to 3 years, which is hard, I understand, there's enough here to start feeling like, oh, we can compete in a pretty serious way. You know what I mean?
I do. I think what the thought around Stefanski and people will always say, well, that's a low bar, or that's whatever, is the response to, hey, he's brought a level of competence to the Browns that wasn't there for 40 years or whatever in a stretch. Well, that's a low bar. You know what I mean? Well, okay, but it's reality though. It doesn't make it unreal, even though it's a low bar. It's still reality that over 40 years you haven't had anybody do what they have done over the past 5 years, as far as splitting within the division, being competitive every year, like we talked about, beating the Ravens every year, beating the Bengals once every year, playing meaningful football in December every year since Stefanski has been here, except for last year. So even when they didn't make the playoffs, they were in the hunt until the very end, both years. So that is a different level of football than we were talking about for a long time before that, and something that transcends multiple regimes. Like, when you hear people talk about, oh, the Browns this, that, it's kind of, you can't really look at it like that. It has to be like, well, there was this regime and this regime and this regime, and you kind of have to look at it in that scope. When you just kind of throw 20 years of football all together and just call it the Browns, that's not really fair, because you've had different guys do different things. There's been different glimmers of success. There was 2007, oddly enough, in there, right? A 10-7 or 10-6 season or whatever, where they didn't get in the playoffs and you got really good football. So I do think that they've raised the bar, though.
They do. They have. They have raised it from the embarrassment of 2010 to 2017, maybe even a couple of years before that, right immediately after the 2007 season. So it's really like 2008. Because if you track it by just, they came back, they found the playoffs a couple years back in, then found the playoff, at least a chance to make the playoffs, right there to make the playoffs in 2007. But that 2008 to 2017 run, where the best you could find was a stretch of competence before falling off from 7-4 to 7-9, that's all there was. Yeah. And that was a really brutal stretch, even compared to some other challenging standards. So
Hoyer, right? You're talking about
the Hoyer year, when then Manziel gets thrown in his rookie year or whatever. It just was it was well documented, but I just like thinking about like what happened from 08 to 13. Like who was there? It's just a dark period, and kind of immediately after it, like the Josh McCown season, and like who was playing here? It was weird. It was a weird time, and I understand there's the level of frustration to what we thought this would ultimately be. I still want this to be something special. It probably is never going to reach the apex that we thought it could. But all you have to do is find a guy. You have to find for lack of a better, you got to find a Brock Purdy type. You got to find a guy for your place. And you can argue whether, hey, they missed out on that, right? You can blindly do that with Baker Mayfield. People love to do that. He had a nice comeback effort in week 1 there in Tampa again. And like, I get it. I do. I think that is Baker Mayfield that person here? Maybe. But if you listen to him talk, he doesn't say that.
No.
And like, Yeah. I mean, again, I don't like to do that because there's people who are like, if Josh Allen would have been drafted here, he'd have been ruined. Well, you don't know that. You don't know
No.
that. And it's the same thing with maybe Mayfield stays and they do figure it out and it all works out. But I also kind of understood when they looked around the conference and they're like, all these guys are doing these wild things. Mahomes and Josh was becoming himself, and Lamar had already won an MVP. And you're like, how do we get past this? Joe Burrow takes his team to the Super Bowl as his third year in the league, right? Like, how do we get past this? And maybe that was his second year in the league, actually. Hard to remember totally. I think it might have been his second year coming off the ACL his rookie year. But like, the Watson thing's a lot of baggage. I understand, but I just am like, if they can figure out a quarterback that can be, and you can laugh about it, you can say, well, they've never really figured that out, but they could. You could. Sometimes you walk into Jaden Daniels when no one thought he'd be that as good as you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, you walk into a Bo Nix season. I don't know if Bo's going to be as good this year, or CJ Stroud is the second pick, or we'll see. There's a lot of we'll see, and I'm like trying to serve up some reminders. Maybe folks don't agree with me. You don't want to hear it. All of which I totally understand.
These
Let's
streaks
Brad.
end. They do. They end. The Cubs streak end. The Red Sox ended. It'll end for the Browns at some point. It will. And it'll happen with finding that guy at quarterback will likely be the first step towards that. So that's what they're trying to give themselves a chance to do. And I agree with rebuilding on the fly because you do have some talent here that's worth keeping around. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
I'm, again, some folks don't want to hear. I'm looking forward to it. I really am interested to see where it goes. Kevin Stefanski talked today. He had time in front of the media. He said that miraculously so, the only real injury he suffered in week 1 was Jack Conklin's eye injury, which is apparently much better today. Yeah. So they come out of this game pretty healthy, which is good, Brad. Which is really good.
Yeah.
Shocking. Yeah. Quinshon Judkins set to meet with the NFL this week, also going to practice this week. He was asked, Kevin was, if Quinshon's going to play. He said, I don't know. We'll see how the week goes. And I think even somebody spoke to the media. Posick, I think, spoke to the media. And he said, like, hey, man, Quinshon was really good in the summer. So we're excited to have him back. Like, just that type of quote of like, this guy's pretty good. We're excited to have him back. I'm excited to watch him. So he could be back this weekend. It'd be interesting and fun if he was, to get a sort of feel for what he's going to be in the NFL. It would be pretty hasty, but I'm also, let's just see it at this point. I don't know, Brad. I put it a 40% chance he plays this weekend.
Okay.
The last thing you want him to do is come back and maybe he has like a soft tissue thing happen or something because he's rushing back or whatever. Yeah. So we'll see.
Maybe I'm optimistic. I put it a little bit higher, but I think maybe like he just sees limited, like a limited part, like, you're not going to give him 20 touches or anything, but maybe he gets in and gets like 5 carries or something. Part of getting him back into football shape. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm optimistic. I'd love to have him. I just have just nervous about it for some reason with where the NFL is going to take it. And then ultimately him, coming in and being himself, but you're hoping that he's in that time spent in isolation or whatever he's doing as he's wherever he was living, because we don't know. Maybe he'll answer these questions about, was he down in Miami during those times? Like, I in Broward County, I don't know, but hopefully he stayed after it and stayed in shape and stayed ready to go. But sometimes there's no ready, like being out there and practicing and doing it. Right. So they need him though. It's clear. And that's one of the points we're going to talk about and what we learned. They need him. And
they do.
Yeah, we can pivot there. There's nothing else to come out about this. Like I talked about the film rooms and stuff. You can read about the offense, like the whole entire offense. Like it'll probably be about an hour and 20 minutes worth of every play offensive study that I do will be up tomorrow. Actually, since you're listening to this on Tuesday, it will be up in the morning. You can consume it as you please. You can find it on YouTube. You can do whatever you want to partake in watching that. But I break it all down if you're interested in it. So check that out if you'd like. But let's just get to these, what we learned, Brad. Like, well, actually, hold on. We're going to take a quick break. Then we'll get into it. And I like that. I like it a lot. So we'll be back from break and then we'll start doing what we learned right following some words from our sponsors. Brad, I noticed as we come back from break here that the FanDuel line currently sitting at 11.5 for this weekend. Early vibe, is that high to you for Browns Ravens? That's a big number. You agree?
That seems wildly high, to be honest.
Doesn't it feel like a Ravens potential like hangover off of this miraculous comeback kind of thing here where they're obviously like honoring, isn't there some ceremony going on about the Ravens move to Baltimore or something that they chose to do this weekend? I heard about this.
Really? I know nothing about that. But that would be a slap in the face to all Browns fans to do that this weekend. Right?
Yeah, so there's I had heard that there was something going on for this game around like
The move?
yeah, I don't know if it was the move, but like celebrating coming back to the NFL or something like that. I'll get a better answer on this. Somebody probably knows it that's listening to this, but I'm not going to waste my time trying to look it up again. I know that there's something that like I can't believe the Ravens are celebrating this when the Browns come to town. Maybe it was their Super Bowl in, what was it, 2001 or something? I'm not totally sure. Anyway, or 2000. Yeah, because maybe this is 25-year anniversary of the Super Bowl 2000.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. I just feel like from the FanDuel side, maybe they're trying to get some action on that. It feels really high to me.
I got to think that number gets bet down. If people that watch the Browns game on Sunday, like I don't think sharp bettors will look at that number and say, yeah, I want to put my money on them winning by 11. Coming off of the game they just played on a short, I guess it's not a short week, but Monday night or Sunday Night Football. And then, I don't know. I just know that people that know AFC North divisional football, you rarely see those kind of blowouts.
No, I agree.
The past few years.
I agree. So we encourage you to get into FanDuel today and take advantage, get that line while you can.
Get that number.
Yeah, and lock that in. We appreciate the support FanDuel provides to Browns Film Breakdown very much. So check that out. Put some money in your pocket. Brad and I will do better with our parlay this weekend. I promise you guys. Promise. Maybe we won't go 6 legs. Maybe we'll tighten it down to 4. We'll see. We'll do better. We just like we're just like the team, man. We're just out here trying to improve.
Getting a feel for it.
Getting a feel for it. All right, flying through our what we learned, Brad. All right, rookies or dudes. Okay, like we looked at grades. Schlesinger is like a 90, the highest graded, second highest graded rookie player of the week. He's a dude. Fannon's a dude. Way more involvement than I anticipated. But they love him. I think they're going to. Kevin can say it's game plan specific all he wants. They like him. They want him out there. 51 snaps of the 70 they're on. That's a lot of snaps for him, man. I would also say Mason Graham had a welcome to the NFL early portion of the game before settling in like mid-second quarter, figuring out how he needs to win, being more consistent with his hands. I think being quicker off the, like understanding power alone isn't going to get it done. Like when you're getting double teamed from Dalton Risner to Marius Mims, like brother, you better formulate a plan because they're going to run through those down blocks and that's tough. You got to get used to. So once I thought he did get a feel for it, he got better as the game wore on and had some real impact plays in the second half. So I liked it from him. He got better, not his best, but he got better.
I think you could make the argument that he got held in the end zone.
I do agree.
On that play that could have changed the game.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a clear hold, I thought. But
I thought McGuire also got held. Who was also very good, Isaiah McGuire. Keep your eye on him, man. He's like a
tremendous,
in-season potential extension candidate at this point if he can keep it up. So yeah, all of them played well. And Samson, you and I thought he would be, I think it was a little off on the snap count volume. He ended up getting out-snapped by Jerome Ford, but they wanted the ball in his hands a lot more, which is really encouraging. And I think I left that game being like, this is a really fun secondary player, receiver type, like a early Nick Chubb, Duke Johnson type of thing. I'm not calling it. I mean, it's crazy to call Quinshon Nick Chubb, but I'm just talking about like the running style types with a guy who can come in and I'm not even calling Samson to change of pace. He's just more comfortable in the receiver aspect of the position and obviously has that wiggle. Like, I need my guys, and this is where Jerome Ford struggled, which is one of our points here about another what we learned is that like the running back depth they need Quinshon. Like this needs to be, he needs to be out there and playing alongside Sampson. Wouldn't mind seeing more Rocket Sanders. I don't want to see Jerome. I don't mean to be mean, Brad. I don't want him to play. I don't see the value. I just don't.
Watching it again, it feels like he missed spots. I'm sure you'll be able to point this out. I'd be interested to watch your film breakdown on this and see if I'm not saying the offensive line was tremendous or good or anything, but I do think there was missed opportunities at times for him, at times where it feels like he just kind of backs into or slides into the guy in front of him and tries to fall forward. It's like, man,
he can't. He doesn't have the vision. He doesn't have the vision in any phase. He's not a good zone runner, and that doesn't matter if he's in the backfield or in gun. I'm over the experience. They reduced the amount of money they wanted to pay him because they didn't think he was worth the figure.
Right.
They told their own story. They drafted 2 running backs, so they need Quinshon. I just don't think there's some miracle there. And like I said, I would just rather see what Rocket Sanders, Raheem Sanders can do. I just would prefer that route at this point.
Me too. And when Sampson was in, even though it's not like he was averaging 5 yards a carry or anything, but he still was much more successful running the ball than Ford was because he attacked, like he at least attacked a hole or attacked a crease, and would get 3 or 4 and fall forward. And at times in that game, that's what they needed from Ford.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. The pacing, vision, anticipation, better from Sampson. So still think the role complementary to Quinshon is just going to be good for him.
Yes.
So there's your rookies or dudes, and also one of our other ones, which is that they need Quinn. They need him. They need him.
They do
to be any sort of effective version. But we also learned is that like you can find ways to win with Flacco dropping back a ton. Still, we don't want that. I don't want that outcome. But he had a 300-yard day there to be had. He did his job. Wasn't always perfect, but he did his job
pretty close,
well enough, and he can still spin it. And he'll help them win games. The question is Joe Flacco winning you 5 games what you want if he plays 12 games or something? I think that great or good question. It's hard to answer that question in like October, November versus when you're in March and you're looking at draft stuff and you're like, man, if they just would have lost that game against the Ravens, they'd get Cam Ward here. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
It's so hard to live in both worlds. So what I do know, and I feel fairly confident about, is that Joe will help them win some ball games. He'll have some bad games. It'll come, but he'll also spin it and they'll play hard for him. He and Kevin see the game the same way. He's going to be more good than bad. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, that was my thing too, is like you can win with Joe Flacco still somehow in 2025. It's hard to believe. I mean, he hasn't found the same success with the Colts or wherever, all his other stops that he's made since he's, left Baltimore. He hasn't found the same kind of success that he finds here with Kevin, but they are in sync in a way that you can tell he feels very comfortable. Right.
Yeah. And I expect him to continue to do so. And it's like,
arm's still there.
Stavros is obviously the Baltimore comedian is, he's obviously hyperbolic and trying to be funny with them. But when he was on a pod recently, he's like, you get Flacco the best offensive line in football, that guy can spin it into his 50s. Like he probably could keep playing 2 or 3 more years. He's tall. He processes it from a high angle and like he just sees it and he does anticipate it pretty well. So he could stick around, and it's to the point if he gets through the year healthy, it's like I think you and I talked about this a week ago. Is he your bridge guy to your next guy next year? I don't. The way he and Kevin see the game, it's not crazy. It's not crazy, and I just am like, he keeps doing it. He
22
keeps doing
first
it.
downs.
It's wild, Brad. All right. On top of that, we'll close out the offensive side of the ball. I am concerned. I learned that I have needed to be more concerned about the offensive line. I will talk about this in depth during the comprehensive breakdown here in a little bit, but like they are aging in the way I'm trying to be careful about this. So like
Yeah.
I'm not calling them soft. I'm not calling them done. I'm just saying like the way an aging veteran I'm sure you saw this, Brad. Did you see the very popular loop blitz where Miles is ripping through the middle and
Mhm.
just absolutely destroys Joe Burrow?
Yeah.
That's a hit Joe Burrow in 5 years will want nothing to do with. He'll do
Right.
everything in his power to not take that hit. Same thing Flacco's essentially doing now. And what happens here is you have 4 of your 5 offensive linemen who have dealt with some of the NFL's worst situations physically. Now, Bitonio's had a relatively healthy career, but his back is going
Mhm.
and his body's aging. And the same with Posick and injuries over time. Teller, as we know, has had injuries year over year. And we know the devastating injuries that Conklin's had,
Conklin.
multiple knee injuries. And like what I'm saying is, you almost can see them understanding and picking their battles in games. Like, I know this pull block is going to take a lot. It's going to be a big hit on Shamar Stewart on the other side of the line. You know, this block here, I know how to. They basically like, I'm not saying they're pulling their punches, but you just can see them not with a nasty streak about finishing plays, about like rooting guys out in double teams. And they're still talented enough. And there's still some one clips, like there's a Teller clip that ran today on Browns Film Breakdown where he's burying Demetrius Knight. There's still those moments,
Yeah.
but they don't have the ability to be balls to the wall, nasty streak finishers for 60 minutes the way they were 5 years ago, 4 years ago. It's not there anymore for them. So what you do is like you see these moments where Conklin kind of understands and remembers where he got leg whipped at the top of the pocket, and you'll see him almost shy pull up a little bit early, or you'll see Batonio pulling down the line and he's got to get underneath and root out a defensive end, and it's like he doesn't do it as well as he used to, or he doesn't quite react to that stunt or that linebacker late as well as he used to. Like, I don't think Posick has the power he used to have, and I don't think Teller has the effortless anchor he used to have, and it comes up. And I'm like, this is a sign of aging, and it's
Yeah.
happening. So I don't think this line can be a top 5 unit anymore. Can they be a top 15? I don't know, because I felt like Cincinnati won the line of scrimmage in that game consistently, Brad. And
Which was surprising.
it's concerning.
Yeah.
Yes. It's concerning considering what's coming. But I'm just what I'm getting at is I'm not here to say the offensive line was bad. I'm saying that there's evidence to me of like I can see where they're like LeBron in the NBA at 40, who's like picking his spots to be all out, do the thing that makes your body physically tired, right? And like it's showing up, dude. Just showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the age will show up, right? And the injury damage and playing not weary but aware of those things
Mhm.
changes the way you play. It just does.
It does. It's a hard position, and they've put a lot on their bodies. Joel's a Ring of Honor guy, man. Fringe Hall of Famer. Probably won't get in the Hall of Fame, but he's as high up as you can possibly get in the Browns world for what he's done here. And Teller's had a great run here, and Posick has been a nice addition post Treader. It's in Conklin too. He's been here. These guys have been here for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
Dewan has limitations. We'll talk about it later, and I didn't think he played well. But like the formula that we talked about before the season for what does this offense need to do in order to be cohesive and productive for 17 games, offensive line needs to be really good. Run game needs to be an efficient setup. Neither of which happened in week 1. The defense did that whole how do they win 10 games? They're elite. They're locked down. They're tough to move the ball on. But We talked about this, and I wrote about this, Brad, winning on the margins. How do the Browns win on the margins here? They win special teams battles, they run the football effectively, and they win the line of scrimmage. I'd say 3 of the 4 they failed in and still had a real chance to win, but they failed in those. And that's where I'm like, I'm optimistic, could have won that game, should have won that game, but also kind of like side-eyeing the fact that formulaically, process-based, I'm not sure the process was very good in that game.
I would agree that in the areas we thought they may have been better in areas we didn't account for.
True. The passing game was better. The drop back game was good. The addition of that's a great balancing point you're making there. For sure. But go ahead.
To follow the formula that we thought, like that I wrote about identity wise, yes, you're right. A majority of that did not show up. The defense did its part. In a major way, especially in the second half. But it's hard to be able to say like that offensive line is going to go dominate somebody like the Ravens next week, right? Maybe Judkins can rejuvenate them, or I don't know, but
I'm with you. It's at minimum concerning, and it's a trend to follow. We'll follow it. We'll watch it closely. Just didn't think they had a week 1 we were anticipating in those ways. But again, we also weren't anticipating Joe having pretty solid success, dropping back 45 times, and Harold Phantom being a thing. So give and take. But a quick couple things on defense. Greg Newsome outside, just clearly more comfortable. It's a place he can use the sideline to his favor. He prefers to tackle from that location. I think he's another contract player out there. I just do. I think it works its way into that direction. And you don't need any more holes. You don't need another problem where you're going into next year saying, hey, we need a tackle. Maybe we need another receiver. Now we need another corner. You don't want that. He's still young. He's an outside corner. I think it, again, showed itself in this game. And I learned, and that's something we predicted. It was confirmed in this one.
Not knowing what Emerson will be post-injury, I don't think you have to kind of root for him. This is a good sign that he goes and earns an extension. Like, to be able to have him, like, say, at the very least, we have 2 starting outside caliber corners going forward is someplace that the Browns would like to be, I think. I don't think you want to be searching there as well.
Couldn't agree more. It's a good start. Good start for him. And against tough competition. Some nice plays against Jamar Chase, for sure. All right, and then last was you had some concerns about D-line depth, which I think is fair. When you consider like Joe Tryon-Shinka played 2 snaps, Cam Thomas played significantly more snaps. So elaborate on that if you can.
Yeah, it was more of the first half, and I'll be interested to watch, and I don't know the exact numbers. I couldn't find the splits on like rush attempts by the Bengals first half versus second half, but I would guess that they rushed it less in the second half, and they just got into. They tend to take themselves out of things sometimes. I've seen this before with Zach Taylor. I don't know if it's him necessarily or whoever's calling their plays, but they often take themselves out of like a successful, like they were running the ball with success. Now the Browns did a better job in the second half, but like Shelby Harris really struggled, I thought, against the run. And Malik Collins, who can get some push in the pass rush, really struggled against the run. Playing the run 12 times, Shelby Harris, Malik Collins 14 times. I think they combined for like 1.5 tackles or something. Not that they should be, swallowing up tackles in their position. That's not their job. But at the same time, I don't think they created like push or made a huge difference where like I do think that in the second half you saw, to your point earlier, you saw other guys on the inside like Mason Graham start to impact the run game from the interior. So that is my concern, and that I think that Mike Hall's return could help here in a big way.
I hope so. He's an immediate run game winner. I think they do need to balance out, and this is where I was surprised by the decision to trade, I thought the guy who could be one of their, Juwan Briggs, better like run game focused defenders
Agreed.
inside. So
Space
maybe
eater.
they're moving Alex Wright inside a little bit more to try to bolster some run defense with length in there.
I'm open to it.
It's possible. I am open to it as well. Collins is like you said, and we knew this more of a pass rush threat than run
Yeah.
defense. So just a bad Shelby Harris game. These
Yeah.
older veterans will have those every now and again, but not his best performance by any means. Too, I'm not concerned about it so far, but I think you're fair to say, is this going to be a long-term, season-long thing where more of the Bengals' issues in the second half were just little things? The ball to T. Higgins up the right sideline where he just barely doesn't get his foot in. And listen, a hell of a play from Newsome, but
Yeah.
that hand getting in there at the catch point, just sort of knocking that. There's some little things where the Bengals would get another 3 downs, right? And, have a chance to keep going and keep running. And not to take
They
anything away from the defense, but I do
Yeah.
think if you're looking like, hey, let's pick apart the defense who gave up 147 yards. Well, it's some concerns about run defense early in that game that kind of popped up.
Early, definitely. First
Right.
drive, second drive, they really didn't have an answer for Chase Brown.
Yeah.
But they solved it. I will say this, in those first 2 drives, noticing today, I mean, Cincinnati was living in 3rd and 3s and 2nd
Right.
and 5s. And so in the second half, though, you probably look, I don't have it in front of me, but I bet you there's a lot of 3rd and longs.
Certainly more of them.
Because
Yeah.
that's where the Browns, were able to force them into 3rd and pass, and they won those situationally in the second half.
Yeah.
Much
No.
more than they did in the first half, where they were able to just give the ball to Chase sometimes, like the one play in the red zone where he just runs right into the back of his own player, stops in the middle of the hole, nobody can get to him, and then runs into the end zone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. On
rough.
brand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. When you're getting nitpicky about that group, does there enough chaos created up front throughout all of the game? Right, that's the
Mhm.
question. Is there enough? And
Great second half.
it's
Great.
fair. Great second half. Yeah, great second. I mean, again,
really
if the
good.
Bengals just duplicated their first half, they're pushing 300 yards. But
Yep.
the second half, like it's funny. This is what you want though, because if you think back to the Cowboys game, they held the Cowboys in check in the first half of the opener last year and faded as the game wore on because the offense couldn't get. They did play complementary football, long drives from the offense. The defense was well rested. That stuff mattered. The complementary thing, I haven't really seen anybody talk about how last year the Browns were so quick to go 3 and out. And this was the brand of like defenses off the field on an 8-play, 10-play, 12-play drive, comes back in fresh, ready to go.
We talked
That's
about
what
this a
they
lot.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah. That efficiency is something that we should probably maybe even write on a little bit. So keep your eye
Yeah.
out for that.
It was
In
there.
the opening
Yeah.
drive. It was there. All right, Brad, that's it. That's good. This is a good thing of what we learned. I have the offense film that's going to be up for you guys. I will also put some comprehensive notes at the end of this. This is the end of the pod for non-supporters. If you are a supporter on the Substack app or the Spotify app, you can stick around and have the rest of that, what we learned in any more comprehensive all 22 analysis portion for you guys. Okay. So no matter whether you're sticking around or you're leaving, we appreciate you very much. Continue to stop by throughout the week. We're going to have more great film, more great banter around what's coming. We'll have a Baltimore guest on Wednesday night to talk for your Thursday show. We'll get you ready. We'll keep doing what we do here and having everything ready to go for you. I think, Brad, most of the Survivor Pool people seem to pick the Cardinals
And
or
Broncos.
or Broncos.
Yep.
So not many people branched out there in week 1, which I understand.
6 Browns. Six people chose the Browns.
All right. So 6 people very quick exit, but we respect your loyalty.
Yeah.
That we do.
Good for you.
So good for you.
Braver than
Come
me.
back next year. Play with us again. So, all right. Appreciate you all. Like we always say, catch you tomorrow and go Browns. All right, guys, welcome back in. We're going to go through personnel usage first. We talked about, I put on social media, the Browns motion percentage usage. That shot up to 70%, 3rd in the NFL. I'll check. It could have bumped down to 4th because of the Bears or Vikings, perhaps even 5th. But they were top 5 minimum in usage of motion, which is a complete deviation from what they have done in the past. And I'm talking even before Ken Dorsey. Kevin has never been this open to using motion. So if you want to put that in Tommy Rees' lap, if you want to put that in a guy finally catching up with the times, I go through in the offense film room for you today why they use so much of it, what I did a quick film room on the schemes I thought were best used, but I go through it on the offensive full rewind. I go through the details of why they're using all of them the way they are. So that's a big deviation. The other big, difference from last year is personnel percentage. So the Browns have been a heavy user of 11 personnel the last 2 years. So this was a big change in this game where the Browns only use 11 personnel 40% of their snaps, 40.8. That's 28th. In 2024, they used 11 personnel 72.5% of the time. 2023, it kind of keeps going down little by little, but they got up really high in volume into the top 8 last year, top 7, excuse me. Then 11th and 11 personnel usage in 2023. Go back and look at 2022. They were all the way down at 57%. That puts them at 21st. You keep going down the line and looking at it. It goes down even more into the 43%. So this is more of a return to 20 and 21 for Kevin when he first arrived and had 2 tight ends he really preferred, 40.1%. He truly is going back, and this is by acquiring a guy they really like in Harold Fannin into that 40% range, which is identical to the 2020 season, at least through one game. So the 12 personnel percentage was second, 50.7% behind Pittsburgh's 53%. They used specific play counts. I want to make sure I tell you how many of the 78 snaps that were run in the game. They ran 12 personnel for 36 snaps, which puts them just in sheer volume, the top in the league. They ran a lot more plays than Pittsburgh. But so 36 and 12 personnel, and then 29 in 11 personnel, and then 3 plays and 13 personnel. And then they also had 2 down the goal line where they added an additional 6th offensive lineman. So again, huge difference in the way they approach this compared to who they've been. When you mix in motions, when you mix in all of those little sort of twists, that's where you get the offense feeling much different. And then some of the results showing up in a way that I think were promising for players open and opportunities for plays to be made. Were plays always made? No, we know that. But as far as data collection goes, I think that's an encouraging first step, right? So nice piece there. I think in the game, they layered in a lot of their backfield routes. What they would do is bring that back in motion, put them in the backfield, and then kind of work some really interesting man and zone hybrid beaters. It was clear to me that they wanted to have a plan in place for whatever style, structure, approach Al Golden was going to use. He didn't blitz much at all in this game, which was a surprise. One of the lowest blitz rates in the NFL for week 1. So they really just played heavy man coverage, which they had the 5th most man coverage usage. And then they mixed in some cover 3 and cover 6. And it wasn't tricky. It wasn't that deceptive. It was just the Browns had to navigate it. And I thought they did fine with it. I thought their motion usage was good. I thought they gave their guys ample opportunities to create leverage-based routes. So I like a lot of what they did. They didn't really use a ton of flood concepts in this game. Here and there, thought they would use a few more of those. They did a lot of high-lows. They did a lot of shallows. They were trying to make some rub route opportunities come to fruition. And I just think that there was the right plan for what they could have anticipated they were going to get. Okay. The run game stuff, to me, not the most encouraging. I thought they needed to be running more gap-based concepts. If you look at the rushing data, I don't know that PFF did a great job of breaking this down just in terms of what run types they were in, because I have more zone runs than gap runs, and they might be listing duo and base, which are very double team based at the point of attack. Base is a bit more one-on-one, but those aren't gap schemes to me. Those are zone schemes to me. And I thought they ran a higher volume of zone in this game schematically. And I would have preferred to see more down block, pull, and kick type power counter, those plays. They only really ran a couple pin pull concepts. Just not a great game plan in the run game, in my opinion, which is a little surprising. It's week 1. Things can change. We'll see where they go from here. But it wasn't very good. And the results, obviously, 24 carries for 49 yards. You take the quarterback's 2 carries for 6 yards out of it, it gets even worse. 22 carries for 39 yards. You're under 2 yards per carry. So the rush stuff was not very good. You had Jerome Ford putting in a 48.7 rushing grade from PFF. 6 attempts, 8 yards. Not gonna find success that way. Dylan Sampson wasn't much better, but 12 for 29. He gets a 58.6. Again, I thought he was better, but it wasn't like he was overwhelmingly better in the run game. Between the two backs, they only forced 2 missed tackles in the run game. And Sampson's receiving game is where he went for 8 targets, 64 yards. That's where I thought he really thrived. So he gets a 92.7 grade. Obviously, I think that's pretty fair. I thought he blocked a little bit better than Ford as well. But again, player performance based off of this game plan that I thought was good enough to win the game. Your highest offense grades, Joel Bitonio, who I think was fine. I wouldn't call his game great. It was good. Wyatt Teller was good enough. Not perfect, but good enough. Flacco gets your 3rd highest grade. Sampson gets your 4th highest grade. And then Postic gets your 5th. And then I personally thought Cedric Tillman, until that final drop that led to the interception, had played a really good game. Strong hands, created some separation. His grade being the highest among the wide receivers by a wide margin, to me, makes sense, even though there was the cataclysmic mistake at the end. So your guys who came in for a snap in goal line short yardage, Whippler, Tevin Jenkins, Aiden Huntington came in 3 times. So those are your people moving in. Jack Conklin only played. I have him down for, did I have him 16 was the number? There could be some because of penalties that were nullified. He gets up to 20 plays in the game. So not a ton. And then you get 56 snaps from Cornelius Lucas, who was fine. Not bad, not good, just very average to below average game for him. We'll talk about data points. But the worst grades of the game, David Njoku and DeJuan Jones, I thought were fair. I think the run blocking stuff from DeJuan is concerning. On the backside, he's lazy, doesn't finish plays. And on the front side, the technique is sloppy, and he at times just looks slow. I think the pass protection game was a little better than what's being put out there. There were some good moments in there, some bad, but some good moments in there as well. But if that's who he's going to be at left tackle, I don't think he's the long-term solution. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't. And I am concerned about Njoku's, and you got to watch the film room I'm putting out to understand what I'm saying. He's got to be more urgent. He's got to be more physical. He's playing slow at times, slow reaction, slow effort. He got a 29 pass blocking grade, which I think is pretty fair. In the run blocking phase. And he's got to be better at that. His size, how he can be a weapon for this team, he's got to be better than that. Joe Flacco in the game gets a 73.2 passing grade. 31 of 45, 290 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, of which I don't give him turnover-worthy plays. They did not give him turnover-worthy plays on those plays either. Were they perfect accuracy? No, not maybe pinpoint, but accurate enough to have a chance to catch those footballs. No big-time throws. I think that's fair. I didn't think he had any super tight window balls. He had a couple nice readouts, process and throw, but nothing too crazy in the window department to make it a big time throw. He had 4 drops at his disposal from his targets, which is never what you want to see. 2 sacks. I would not say that the sacks were a problem for him. One was trying to step up off a play action, and he tries to step up. His foot gets caught. They were able to overcome that and get a first down later. And then the final one's on the 3rd down where you're trying to kick a 36-yard field goal. We want to keep the clock moving. We're only throwing this football if we feel like a guy is open. Pressure condensed it on him. Again, that second sack, it's tied into keeping the clock moving. We're kicking a short field goal. I didn't have a problem with it. Thought he played well. He, when kept clean, had a pretty strong passing grade, 21 of 29, 186, a touchdown. Under pressure, 10 of 16, 104 yards, that one interception. Not many blitz dropbacks, only 6 of those where he was 4 of 6 for 41 yards. And then when he wasn't blitzed, 27 of 39, 249, a touchdown. Those 2 interceptions. So play action only rendered 5 of 10 for 50 yards. The interception on the throw to Judy. Non-play action, 26 of 35, 240, a touchdown and interception. Stronger grade. But again, you get the interception. You only complete 50% of those play action throws. That's going to result in what you'd expect. They did not have much screen game success, even though they went 5 of 6. They had a nice bubble screen I like they ran early in the game. Did hit Sampson on a screen in the high red zone. 5 of 6 for 20 yards. Down there in the other end in that final drive, tried to hit a slot screen, almost popped loose. If that tight end screen, the one in completion there to Njoku in the first half hits, probably a different grade, could have been very big. So, yeah, I mean, throws 20 yards downfield, only 1 of 2, didn't take many shots. I thought the Bengals covered well. I thought the way the Browns approached getting the football out fast didn't present themselves with many deep shot opportunities. So they lived in the 10 to 19 range, where they were 6 of 11 for 102 in that touchdown, the 1 interception, the short part of the field, 15 of 19 for 119. So they operated, the shallows. They did some behind the line of scrimmage for 44 yards. Didn't take a ton of shots downfield. They completed 1 of them, though, and they got 25 yards out of it. So it's not all negative there. I just didn't think their plan was definitely oriented, especially with a lot of drop coverage, where even if it's man coverage, you're still keeping a low hole, high hole player. You are going to face fewer opportunities to push it downfield. Maybe he grows more trust, continues to get better with Jerry Jeudy. They do more back shoulder stuff. We'll see. There's probably one throw I thought he could have tried to push downfield to Bond right before halftime, but I also didn't think it was an egregious miss based on just having one step on the player outside. So pretty good Joe Flacco game. You can win ball games when he's putting together those performances. Top receiving grade, I already mentioned Dylan Sampson. And Njoku gets a 62.1. He catches 3 of 5, targets 37 yards. I still am like, got to tempo up the route sometimes. I break it down how there's a flood concept they're trying to run, and he's just a little slow getting out, gets caught up at the second level. Everything condenses. He's an absolute machine after the catch, which is a beautiful thing. Like his 26 yards after the catch is it comes up every week. And Harold Fannin is proving to sort of be wired the same way, but Njoku's just a tank, man. They're going to live in that 12 personnel and try to create mismatches all year. Njoku didn't have a drop. One drop went to Tillman. We know that led to an interception. Another one went to Fannin on that key second down. Well, maybe it was third down. I think it was third down. When they were in that second to last drive, maybe third to last, because then they got it back and tried to kick the field goal. Then they got it back and threw the interception. So third one, it was a deep cross over the middle, and he was open. It hit his hands. Should have caught it. Then they threw it to Judy on 4th down on that slot slant, and he dropped it. So those were really frustrating moments. But going down the line, Judy caught 5 of 8 for 66. The long play being the one that basically ended the game. So it was a pretty quiet Jerry Jeudy game. Not the most impressive effort for him. I honestly would think. I think you need to get him in motion more. I think he needs to move more. I think he needs to be hidden and behind different players for quality of release and different things to get him moving to different portions of the field. I'd like to see that uptick. Outside of those guys and Fannin, who graded fine, above average in the game. Fannin really just hurt by the drop. You got Judy's 2 drops that hurt him and the team in general. Jamari Thrash, only 1 target, 1 catch, 6 yards. Isaiah Bond, 1 catch on that bubble screen for 5 yards. And then Jerome Ford caught a ball at a swing that went backward for 3 yards. So that's your receiving group. And then blocking is some good, some bad, right? So in this one, your highest pass block grades went to Bitonio, Posick, and Teller. Those guys allowed 2 pressures by Bitonio, 2 pressures by Posick, and then Wyatt Teller allowed 3 pressures as well. Cornelius Lucas allowed 5, which rendered a pass block grade of 59.7, and then they have DeJuan Jones allowing 7 and a pretty poor 33 passing grade. I'm going to watch more of the second half, and perhaps that's where more of them show up. I didn't think the first half was egregious. I get more annoyed, honestly, with the run game stuff than I do anything else. But if your tackles are giving up 7 pressures and 5 pressures in a game, and that's not including Jack Conklin, so you could chip one more into Cornelius Lucas. And I talked about it in the open here, guys. Like, the Bengals just handled the line of scrimmage better than the Browns did. I thought they won up front, and that's a problem for this team to consistently produce results in whatever stage of a drive you're in, right? Whether that's a drive that's pushing into the opponent's territory, or it's like last year where they couldn't get anything going. You got to be the more physical. They got to win those battles often, and they just didn't do enough of it on Sunday to feel that positive about it. The true pass sets, which are no screens, no play action, it's just like, hey, it's 3rd and pass, we got to drop back here to throw. That's where DeJuan struggled the most, with 5 pressures allowed in 22.8 grade. No more than 2 pressures allowed for anyone else. They did actually give Jerome Ford 2 pressures, which I continue to have a hard time justifying him on the field ever pass protecting. I digress. Conklin and Cornelius Lucas contributed 3 on the other side. So there's your information on pass blocking. Not good enough from your tackles, period. Run blocking, I've talked about it. DeJuan Jones and Njoku were just not good. They're the guys at the bottom. Your other 2 tackles with grades below 50, Lucas and Conklin. That's where I'm like, your 2 tackles, your tight end didn't block well at the point of attack. Fannin was okay, but sometimes still gets a little lost on those. Batonio, Teller, and then Posa can't just be the best. You got to get better tackle play. They need it. They need it badly, especially when they start playing better defenses and defenses who like to deceive a bit more. So, yeah, that's it. If you have questions, I think they'll be answered when you watch the film breakdown. I'll literally go through every play, talk through it. You can find whatever you want in there to understand what happened in this game. Okay. So I try to give you the data points. I try to give you the player performance notes. As far as like guys I thought played really well, I thought Flacco played well. Sampson played well. Fannin played well. Tillman had great moments, overshadowed by that last drive, which is just such a bummer. And I do think the interior 3 were pretty fine, could be better. I am worried about how they're playing and their reluctance to do some of the dirty stuff at times. You can just sort of see it taking a toll on those guys over the years. You certainly can see it, but they were okay. I mean, listen, they were good enough to win. The tackles didn't play winning football. Guard, center, guard played enough winning football. Njoku didn't. Wouldn't get a helmet sticker, in my opinion. So, guys who wouldn't, I wouldn't say, as far as what their expectation is, Jerry Jeudy wouldn't get a helmet sticker, in this situation. Did they contribute? Did they play a winning brand of ball? Not enough from him. Not enough from Njoku. Not enough from DeJuan Jones or Cornelius Lucas or Jack Conklin. Those are the guys that hurt them. And Jerome Ford, obviously. Don't know where that's going. We'll see. I digress. All right, that's it for offensive comprehensive breakdown. And like I said, pair this with watching the film, and you'll have a complete understanding, I promise you, about everything that happened on Sunday on the offensive side of the ball. Next day, Tuesday here, will be very defense heavy. So keep your eye out for all of that film, all of that analysis, and what Jim Schwartz unit was doing to mess with the Bengals, because they really messed with them. So can't wait to break that down for you. Have a fantastic Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, and go Browns.